Hello folks, it's Sean back with another video from my channel 300 Baud. Many know of the Commodore 64, but unless you lived through the late 80s and early 90s, you may have never heard of or seen a Commodore Amiga. The Amiga was an innovative computer. It came in many shapes and sizes, and Commodore sold over 4 million units, but despite its potential, it just didn't enjoy the success of the Commodore 64. Let's take a moment and explore the Amiga and try to discover what made it such a great computer. The Amiga is a 16/32-bit computer released by Commodore at the tail end of 1985. Designed by former Atari employees, it was originally intended to be a next-generation video game console. But the video game crash of 1983 led to a shift in the market. But that didn't deter the team of developers. Add a keyboard and an advanced operating system, and you have a computer that was said to be a decade ahead of its time. Trust me when I say the Amiga really was something special. A wire-wrapped breadboard prototype, affectionately known as Lorraine, was previewed at the Consumer Electronics Show in 1984. Lorraine was running an advanced Boing ball demonstration. It was said ongoers didn't believe Lorraine was capable of such a feat and looked behind the podium searching for a rack of professional-grade equipment running the demonstration. Amiga Corporation was quickly running out of money. The new Atari Corporation, led by Commodore founder Jack Tramiel, was looking for a next-generation computer to replace Atari's aging 8-bit line. A shrewd businessman, Tramiel provided Amiga Corporation a loan, knowing that they would be unable to repay. This would allow him to acquire Amiga technologies on the cheap. Commodore was in bad shape, as several of the company's top engineers followed Tramiel to Atari. Commodore knew that they would need Amiga technologies to survive, so they negotiated a more attractive offer. Commodore would repay Amiga Corporation's loans to Atari, purchase Amiga technologies outright, and provide the necessary resources to finish the Amiga. Within every Amiga, you will find the Motorola 68000 family of microprocessors. Commodore's move from the 6502 to the 68000 allowed the company to enter the era of 16-bit microcomputing. The 68000 implements a 32-bit instruction set with 32-bit registers and a 16-bit internal data bus. The 68000 is capable of addressing up to 16 megabytes of RAM, compared with the 64K memory limitation of the 6502. But the original Amiga 1000 is limited to 8 megabytes of RAM via an external side port expansion. The Motorola 68000 was found in many competitors' machines to include the Macintosh, Atari ST, and the Sharp 68000. Workstations such as the TRS-80 Model 16, HP 9000, Apollo, and Sun Microsystems Sun 1 were early adapters of the 68000. This processor also powered the Sega Mega Drive as well as many arcade machines such as Sega's System 16, Capcom CP, and SNK's Neo Geo. And for those calculator nerds out there, Texas Instruments used the 68000 in its high-end graphing calculators, the TI-89 and TI-92 series, and the Voyage 200. What sets the Amiga apart from its contemporaries is the inclusion of 3 custom chips, Agnes, Denise, and Paula, which are used to handle audio, video, and direct memory access independently of the CPU. The unique architecture of the Amiga gave it a performance edge over its competitors, particularly in terms of graphic-intensive applications and games. Agnes, the first of the custom chips, is at the heart of the Amiga architecture. A direct memory access controller, Agnes is used to control CPU and other custom chip access to chip RAM. Agnes includes subcomponents known as the blitter and the copper. The blitter, shorthand for block image transfer, provides fast transfer of data blocks in memory without the intervention of the processor. The blitter is primarily used for drawing and redrawing graphic images called BOBs, short for blitter objects. The blitter allows the Amiga to rapidly move objects around the screen, such as GUI windows, by simply shifting the Bob's screen memory location. The copper, short for coprocessor, runs in sync with the video beam and can be used to perform various operations which require video synchronization. Most commonly it is used to control video outputs, but it can write to most of the chipset registers and thus can be used to initiate blitz, set audio registers, or interrupt the CPU. The copper also allows the Amiga to genlock, which is the ability to adjust its own screen refresh timing to match the incoming NTSC or PAL video signals. This allows the Amiga to overlay an external video source with graphics to do character generation and CGI effects, far more cheaply than other systems. Think NewTek video toaster. Paula is the Amiga's sound chip. It provides 4 independent 8-bit PCM sample-based sound channels, 2 for the left speaker and 2 for the right. Additional virtual channels can be added via software. On later Amiga 500 and 2000 models, the brightness of the Amiga's power LED is used to indicate the status of the Amiga's low-pass filter. The filter is active when the LED is at normal brightness and deactivated when dimmed. Paula can read from the system RAM using direct memory access, or DMA, making sound playback without CPU intervention possible. I've even seen an Amiga play sound after the CPU has crashed. Paula also handles interrupts and various input-output functions, including the floppy disk drive, the serial port, and analog joysticks. The Amiga shipped with an advanced single-user operating system called Amiga OS. Amiga OS is comprised of a preemptive multitasking kernel called exec, a disk operating system called Amiga OS, a windowing system called Intuition, and a desktop file manager called Workbench. Exec is a lightweight preemptive multitasking microkernel. Unlike the monolithic approach of Windows and Mac OS, the exec microkernel is tiny, only occupying 13 kilobytes of RAM. Exec provides basic functions for multitasking, memory management, and handling of interrupts and dynamic shared libraries. Due to its efficiency, exec allows the system to run more than one application simultaneously with as little as 256 kilobytes of memory. An advanced scheduler prioritizes tasks to ensure all processes get the appropriate amount of CPU time. Preemptive multitasking allowed NASA to put a man on the moon, and the Amiga was the first home computer to incorporate it into its operating system. Windows users would have to wait an additional 8 years for the release of NT in 1993. Apple users would prove to be even more resilient, as they would have to wait an additional 16 years for the release of Mac OS X to enjoy a true preemptive multitasking work environment. Amiga DOS is the Amiga's disk operating system. It handles device drivers, file system management, the command line interface, and other exciting DOS functions. Unlike Mac OS, a command line interface, or CLI, called Amiga Shell was available. The CLI is entirely Windows-based and even features the ability to run multiple instances of the CLI at the same time. Just one example of the Amiga's multitasking capabilities. Intuition is the native windowing system and user interface engine of the Amiga OS. Intuition handles inputs from the keyboard and mouse and renderings of the screen, windows, and widgets. Workbench is the Amiga's native graphical file manager and desktop environment. In Amiga OS, the desktop is called your workbench. Directories are drawers, executable files are tools, data files are projects, and GUI widgets are called gadgets. The Amiga operating system is unusual in that it doesn't partition memory for applications, or even the operating system itself. Rather, it maintains a list of free memory and its attributes. In theory, users can continue to launch new applications and they will continue to run provided the system itself doesn't run out of memory. Amiga OS uses proportional scroll bars. A proportional scroll bar is a scroll bar that grows and shrinks to reflect the size of the scrollable content it represents. Names of files and directories can be up to 30 characters long. They can have both upper and lowercase letters, spaces, and non-reserved punctuation marks, a huge improvement over MS-DOS's 8.3 naming convention. Another interesting feature of Amiga DOS is the RAM disk. The RAM disk works like any other storage device, but uses RAM for lightning-fast data transfer. But of course, anything saved to the RAM disk is lost when the computer is shut down. Later versions of Amiga OS saw an improved visual appearance for Workbench and a standardized look and feel. The new look included an aesthetically pleasing color palette, as well as improved icons, gadgets, and windows. A universal object-oriented data system, known as data types, allowed programs to load pictures, sound, text, and other content in formats they didn't natively understand. New formats and capabilities could be added by simply copying the appropriate data type to the system. The new Multi-View software tool used data types to enable opening, display, and playback of any file type for which there was an installed data type. Cross-DOS provided support for PC-formatted floppy disks. The AREC system-wide scripting language allowed programs from different vendors to work together seamlessly. Amiga Guide, which used an early implementation of a hypertext markup language, provided easy development of guides, help files, or manuals. And another addition to the Amiga OS was language localization, CD-ROM support, as well as other upgrades not mentioned here. The Amiga was the first personal computer to offer plug-and-play capabilities through a feature called AutoConfig. AutoConfig made it easy to expand the hardware. It is said that Microsoft purchased the rights to Amiga's AutoConfig so that they could include plug-and-play in Windows 95. The Amiga 1000 was the first computer to ship with a 2-button mouse. The left mouse was used to select, while the right mouse button operated pull-down menus. The Amiga used single-click, double-click, click and hold, as well as release to select, just as you would find on a modern-day operating system. Just as the X Windows system used in Linux, Amiga OS allows for multiple screens, each with its own resolution and color depth. 16 years after the bankruptcy of Commodore, this feature would be used in court to defend Red Hat and Novell against a patent troll. For details on this case, see My Amiga Killed a Troll. For those who wanted to downgrade, the Commodore A1060 sidecar would add a complete PC XT system to your Amiga 1000. The sidecar used Amiga's input-output devices and allowed for simultaneous PC and Amiga operation. Later Amigas were capable of software emulating the Macintosh and Atari ST at full speed. The Amiga was the first computer to provide built-in text-to-speech capability. A tool called Say could speak in a male, female, or robotic voice.
This is the Commodore Amiga personal computer speaking. I can speak in a male voice and a female voice. I can speak in a very expressive voice, or I can change the mode and speak in a monotone, just like a real computer.
In the early 90s, gaming on home computers was quite popular, especially in Europe. And for a time, the Amiga 500 was the premier gaming platform. The Amiga 500 specification was well understood, and developers knew how to squeeze the most out of it. There are so many things I haven't covered in this video, but overall, I think that the Amiga computer was a great computer for its time. A special thanks goes out to all my subscribers. It really means a lot to me. If you do like this content and you haven't subscribed already, why don't you go ahead and do that now? And I'd really like to hear from you all. What do you think made the Amiga computer such a great computer? And as always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more content soon. Take care and goodbye.